Somebody asked the other day if anybody ever does any art journals that are contemporary or more modern, and I thought I would share kind of what I've been working on because absolutely, not all junk journals or art journals have to be, those vintagey, old style with old photos. You can actually do something more contemporary. I am working on one for my sister specifically. We were born in the 80s, so technically, I guess this is still considered vintage, right? I'm working on one from for my sister that actually kind of harkens back to our childhood of in the 1980s and the Care Bears theme. So I thought I would show you kind of what I'm working on. I started doing everything for a journal I put in this project box because over time it kind of takes me some time to kind of organize all the things that are going to go into this journal. I collect stuff over time. So if I have one, I have a couple that I'm working on where I just use these big bins on my art cart to start, or in my closet to start collecting all the things that would go with this particular journal. Let me remove. I have collected a bunch of vintage photos from like our childhood. Specifically, I've already started working on the cover for this one. So let me pull that out. This cover was actually a couple of things here. Set this out of the way. Here, the cover was actually it's Easter time, or getting ready to be Easter time, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted for a cover. So I had bought this fabric with the Care Bears on it, and I was like, okay, well, what else could I make that's super sturdy for the cover, because I like the cover to hold up, right? And I felt like fabric alone was not going to be enough, even if I put additional material on the inside of the fabric. I wasn't having much luck, so I went looking for something more vintage. And then I had a little bit, I never found any vintage items that I really, I felt like were the right thing until I located, it's not at all vintage. These are on Amazon. It's an Easter basket. So there's the bottom of the basket. It was just a round basket with a handle, right? And so I went about taking it apart, basically. I opened it up, cut it off the bottom. So that's the bottom of the basket. It has the design on the outside. So essentially, this is the entire, outside of the bucket. It also is that, like, I don't know if you remember in the 80s and 90s, we had that like swishy fabric pants. So that it worked out well. It reminded me of that as well from a textural standpoint. And I have my vintage fabric or my Care Bears fabric for the inside. I don't think this is vintage. I think this is actually newer. Anyway, so the 1980s Care Bears had a resurgence, I guess, in mid 2000s or 2005-ish. And so a lot of the stuff that's out there is not the 80s version. It is actually the 2005. So you have to, and then there's a more recent version of Care Bears that look different and is a little weird. So if you're doing these, you want, to be, I spent a lot of time searching, not only through places like Amazon and things like that had readily available Care Bears themed items. I went through Etsy and found several suppliers, which I'll show you some of the things that I bought for that, as well as just also some vintage items, vintage books off of eBay, as well as some vintage games, Care Bears games. So at this point, I have put together my sandwich for my outside of my cover. And that's this piece on the outside, as well as the inside cover is just going to be that continuous fabric. Now, I did take Pellin, which is the super thick Pellin, which I like to put on the inside and line any fabrics because I think it makes it squishier and gives that fabric a little bit more sturdiness. It has one side of the Pellin feels rough because there's a spray adhesive on there that is activated when you iron it. So I've ironed it to my fabric to create the inside. And right now I have my sandwich. That's the extra of fabric, the Pellin, and then the outside cover, which is doubled. so it has a little bit more sturdiness as well. I left the inside lining on there to give it that extra. Now, I think once I sew this, I'm going to sew this together. And then I found this bias tape that is kind of rainbowy, which is super cute, which I think I'm going to go around the outside edge with and actually bind so there'll just be a little teeny tiny outside edge of, or I might sandwich it because it is kind of thin. On the outside edge to kind of finish that off, because I don't like this fabric is kind of weird and frays up really bad, which on some things would be fine, but not on this particular option. So on this journal, I have gone with an 8x8, I think. Let me just double check here. 8x8. I already have my signatures collected, and I actually started pulling together the signatures first before I started working on anything. So I knew exactly, how thick and chunky I wanted the cover to be. So I may end up dropping one of these signatures out. I'm not sure yet, because I think once I start adding things in, it's going to get extra chunky. And so that is a concern. So my signatures essentially, let me set these out of the way. I have some painted papers that I have painted and or drawn on with watercolor. And those are just the 8x8s on a big piece of watercolor, and I have those tucked in. I found some really cute napkins. I think they were on Amazon. I'll link all the things that I bought on Amazon, and then the additional things. I also found some books through thrift books. So these were older. Some of these are newer. I think this is the 2002 version. And then I have some printed papers that I have included, and I will add a link to Etsy where I have these papers that I've created. In addition to that, I found this, and I wasn't sure how exactly I was going to use it, but it's this photo props packet from Amazon, right? With giant heads and a bunch of other things. So what I've done is I've actually included those in my pages. I had to, here's the rainbow. It's folded in half, so half of it is on another page. Again, here's my book pages. This is also a vintage book that I think I got either off of thrift books or it may have been eBay. Oh no, it's thrift books. So take that off. And so I cut up the books. I also had, again, painted papers, book pages, and then the prints that I had made and printed out. So it's a variety of sizes and pages, and here's the inside of that other page that are painted, and so on and so forth. So there's the other half of my rainbow, things of that nature. So and they're all kind of created in a sandwich. I think I've got a lot of pages in each signature, and so that's what I was worried about, is once I start adding things in, then where am I going to be at? Again, painted papers where I just kind of drew and had painted. I've got, of course, a variety of painted papers and things that I have done that are kind of in the same kind of bright rainbowy color scheme. And the other thing, no, it's not in this one. I actually took, where is it? There were, again, those are pages I created. Just head down. Oh, here's another one of those prop pieces. I actually added in to some of these, and I don't see them, why they're not in here. Oh, here they are. I added in the giant prop pieces. I have they were huge, so I've cut them down so it looks like they're just kind of tucked in. I've added them to areas where, I had a book cover on some of these that were the outside of the book cover that I've used as the first page of my signature. And of course you have the blank area, so I'm going to end up gluing these in here. And it may end up creating a pocket so that you can stuff things in. So super excited about all of this. Here's another one of the book pages and painted papers and napkins and just a variety of things, right? So these are all my background pages for the stuff that we're going to be doing. So each one of these signatures, I'm pretty sure has one of these pieces. So that was a fun way to use some items that we had. So there's my signatures. And again, I wanted it to be kind of loose because again, if we start adding a bunch of stuff into it, you need the space. And so I have kind of figured out where I need to be and give myself some extra space for the spine on this one, and made it a little bit longer. So if I have stuff sticking out on the edge, then it's not going to be an issue. So there's my sandwich essentially and what it's going to look like once it's done. I waffle back and forth because I don't really like the stitching that comes through the spine on the outside. So right now I have this pinned together as if that's what you would have to do essentially. And so I am still waffling back and forth on whether or not I want to do that. Sometimes what I'll do is I actually will sew the signatures to the inside cover and then sew the inside cover to the outside cover with the signatures in it. It does cause a little bit of an issue on the spine area where you would have to hand stitch it or whatever. My problem with doing that way is that if I decide to bind the two pieces together, it will make that very difficult. So I still need to figure out if I'm going to do that, how am I going to cover the spine, or am I going to leave the strings visible, which is entirely possible. So that is yet to be decided. What I was sitting here thinking about, it just popped in my head. You remember those friendship bracelets we used to make that were woven? That would be really cool if the pages or the strings that held the signatures in were friendship bracelets. We might have to work on that. It's funny how when you're sitting here, you just an idea pops into your head and you're like, oh, that would be really cool. So I might weave some friendship bracelets that are in these colors. So then it actually looks like this has a purpose, because I'd end up having 5 strings sticking, because there's 5 signatures, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I'd end up having 5 strings sticking out here on the outside, and I wasn't sure how I wanted those to look. And I've also never done something that thick. So the friendship bracelets might be a really good idea. I will think on that. Or maybe even braided. But I'm thinking the friendship bracelets I used to make when I was a kid had the 5 strands. So you could easily do purple, blue, yellow, pink, and red. And that would be super fun. So I will think on that. I have to make really long friendship bracelets. But that is a really, really great idea. Okay, so there's that. And of course we had our props, photo props that we got. The other thing I bought, of course, we had the napkins, which you saw, which are just Care Bear themes napkins from Cloudco Entertainment Prime Party. I'm pretty sure I just got these off of Amazon. I may, before I stick these in, figure out how I want to. I might go over these with a not Mod Podge, but matte medium to make these a little bit sturdier, or I might just leave them. I haven't decided yet, because I like how they're soft. Anyway, the other thing that I bought, and it was a very neat lady on Etsy who has an Etsy shop who had all kinds of Care Bears themed stuff. I think she's in. I don't remember if she's overseas in Asia somewhere, Taiwan or Japan or somewhere like that. Anyway, she was phenomenal, by the way. She was super communicative, and she threw in extra stuff, which I thought was really phenomenal. Things I didn't order. I mean, she was hands down the best type of seller on Etsy. I will link her shop so that you guys can, if you want to buy Care Bear stuff, I would definitely recommend her. But I needed some additional things to potentially go in. So they had these Care Bear stickers, and I don't know if you can see them on there, but they're kind of sparkly. So there's several rolls of Care Bear stickers that I ordered. And I don't remember, these may have come in a set. There's the little faces, Care Bears faces. So those are super cute. They kind of look more like the vintage Care Bears. In addition to that, I don't remember if I bought that. There's a Care Bears pin with a little Care Bear on top. I think I did order this. I wanted some things to dangle off of the edge of my book. And so these were probably bigger than I would like them to be, but I thought these were super cute. They are actually, I don't know, this is all in Chinese. Anyway, it is the vintage Care Bears though. I don't remember if these are open up and you can put a photo in them, but I thought it'd be super cute. I actually just like the Care Bear photo in them. Anyway, so these would be dangles. I got them in 3 different colors that would dangle off of the thing. In addition to that, she also sent me some additional things. I'm pretty sure, but I did not order this because it's not Care Bear themed, but it's a paper pack little notebook, which is cute. She threw in some additional little stickers, which are super cute, which I will end up, I think these are sheet label type stickers, some hearts and some other little things that are kind of in the same color scheme. Here's another little Care Bears, another hearts, another sticker packs that I don't remember. Pretty sure these were not part of my original order, but she threw them in, which is super sweet of her. In addition to that, then I bought this Care Bears index set. They're tabs, and so I thought it would be super cute to, I don't know if you can see that. They're little tabs with the Care Bear sticking up out over the top, and there are a variety of size tabs. I'm pretty sure they're for like a 3-ring binder or something like that. But I am going to end up stitching these down in the different signatures because I think there's at least 5 of them, right? So I'm going to add them to the edges of the signatures, which I think is super adorable, right? So, and then I have just a ton of things that I have created. So one of the things that I did was I went through and I came up with a whole bunch of quotes from the Care Bears. Caring is what counts. Sharing your love makes the world brighter. And I have made them on both vellum. So once I glue these down, they would technically be see-through in a couple of different fonts, which I think is super cute, and just printed them out with my printer. I also have them in white, on white cardstock as well, thicker cardstock, which I think is cute. So there's that to be added in. I have just a ton of these, right? And other things that I've kind of created that kind of go with, or I can glue in to all of the pieces. In addition to that, I went on Pinterest and I found all kinds of things. I'm not intending to sell this, so ergo, there's not really a copyright issue. But I found all kinds of things on Pinterest that I can add in vintage graphics and things like that I can add to this book once I get everything put together and start working on it. Book pages, that kind of thing, stuff that I can glue in a variety of places. So there's just a whole ton of these. Not sure what that. Oh, what is that? I've been collecting things for so long. Oh, it's more stickers and a patch. So I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the closure. I actually bought a patch, so I might end up putting the patch on there or put it somewhere else, and I'll throw in some additional stickers. So there's that. I mean, there's just all kinds of little tiny pieces that I can make, tuck cards and fun tabbies and all kinds of things that are Care Bears themed that the graphics are not are kind of fuzzy or whatever. I'm not worried about it. I was able to cut out some actual Care Bears, fussy cut out some Care Bears, and of just a variety of junk, as well as like labels off of the things that I purchased. I kept all of those things kind of sorted that I'm going to be adding in. I may end up actually putting this baggie in there as well. I liked I saw the other day somebody had used, I think they had painted on vellum or clear plastic. I've actually bought some clear plastic specifically to do this. But they had put them in as sheets in their signatures. And so it made this really cool, like you have the overlay, and of course you have your signature behind there. And I thought that was really like a really good idea that I'm going to absolutely incorporate with you in here too. Um, so you would simply have some clear pages that really just act as an accent to whatever you're doing. And I thought that was really modern. Again, looking at modern things take on a great way that you can incorporate things. More that are actual vintage like games and things like that. So this is a Care Bears, some sort of Care Bears spell game. Obviously, no one is ever going to play this game again, but I thought these were super cute. They have really beautiful, these are vintage, the old graphics. And I will be utilizing these as tucks and things like that inside. Where's the bee? Oh, here's the bee. Inside the art journal, junk journal. I thought it would be really cute to do these as tucks with a ribbon, maybe even this ribbon coming off the top, and then maybe a vintage photo of my little sister and me from childhood on the back, or something of that nature. Anyway, I have all kinds of vintage games and things. I actually think I got this on, I think I won this, my secret, and I'll just fill you in on where you can get a lot of really cool stuff. Also vintage stuff, if you're into doing like the vintagey junk journals. I have found a ton of stuff on Whatnot. Whatnot is like think garage sale meets auction, because they're live auctions that are running. I have found so much really cool stuff on Whatnot. Obviously, there is some more contemporary things. So if you're into more contemporary things like trading cards, Pokemon, baseball cards, and stuff like that. But there's people on Whatnot that just do ephemera. I have bought at this point a ton of vintage books, old magazines, and I will show you guys at some point some of the stuff that I've gotten, both on there and on eBay. But on Whatnot, you can get a pretty good deal on some of the things. I scored some great big giant books with vintage graphics that would no longer be copyright because they're over 100 years old. And obviously, I'm not going to cut those up necessarily. I'll probably end up scanning them in because I hate, the idea of like completely killing them. But my goal is to scan some of them in and use the graphics and combine and do, some graphics pages, which I will have listed on my Etsy store. Which I think will be super fun. So you never know what you might find that goes with the stuff as well. So, repurposing an Easter basket or, photo props or something that goes with the theme. I'm working on this one as a more contemporary one. And I also have one that I'm doing that's color themed, black and white with hot pink. And so I have created a bunch of graphics to go into that one. It's probably going to be a 6x8 size, I believe. But I've then started collecting things that go with that. Another great thing for some contemporary stuff is wallpaper books. I bought on eBay a couple of giant wallpaper books. Talk about, having a huge surface area to work with and really thick, amazing paper. Wallpaper books are a great opportunity for that. I got some that had more contemporary graphic, and they're graphical. And so that was really cool. So they will make great neutral patterns as well as some of the black and whites. And I think I got it was probably an 80s or 90s wallpaper book, maybe late 2000s, that has more graphical and it's kind of more neutral in colors, which I thought would be really great for backgrounds, as well as then I also bought one that it's more toiles and things like that for some of the vintage ones. But the thickness of the wallpaper samples is great because it's super thick paper and, kind of textured and would really stand up to some great stuff. Of course, it's only usually one-sided. So there's that, but that just gives you an opportunity to be creative with what you're putting on the other side. So this is it. I'm going to start working on sewing my cover together and figuring out if I want to compile the book. And I guess I will work on creating friendship bracelets, because I still think that is the best idea I've come up with yet on how I'm going to stitch my signatures to my cover and still make it look cute without having just strings. I think those friendship bracelets would be a really cute idea, and my sister would probably get a kick out of that, because we used to make those all the time, the woven friendship bracelets. So fingers crossed I still remember how to make them. I'm pretty sure I do. I need to teach my nieces and nephews how to do that, because those are, I don't know if kids are making those these days. They're doing other things, but yeah, so that's that. I will come back to you once I am ready to start putting all of this together, and then you can craft along with me to create the insides of the pages. So that'll be super fun. Thanks, guys.